Hey there, Wastelanders, and welcome back to War Games News Radio for another installment of Better Know a Faction, a series where I break down the special rules and tactics for factions in Fallout Wasteland Warfare. This is part 2 of our Survivors faction review, and in this episode we're looking at all of the Survivor units that can be found in the New Vegas expansion for the game. In part 1 of our Survivors review, I broke down all the units from waves 1 through 4, and there are a lot of them, but I also took a look at the faction special rule, which you're gonna want to know if you're gonna take a look at this video and all the unique units coming up next. So if you haven't checked that out, go ahead, take a couple minutes, watch that review, and I'll be here waiting for you when you get back. Now that you're back and you've got your head wrapped around that faction special rule, let's take a look at all of the New Vegas survivors. First things first, every unit in this review is a unique unit. There's a good mix of combat, objective, and utility units in this expansion, but not all companions are built equally. First up is the main Mojave mailman themselves, the Courier. Now, in my opinion, the Courier is the quintessential New Vegas survivor with an interesting mix of stock stats and perks right out of the box. Normally, I like to save the best units for last, but in this video, I'm taking a look at the Courier first because they have the most special abilities out of the Survivors New Vegas list, and also a special perk which pairs really well with all of the other companions, which we'll talk about in just a minute. So it's pretty important that you understand how the Courier can play with all of these companions before we look at all of these units individually. Combat-wise, the Courier is actually only pretty average, hitting on 6s with ranged weapons, 5s for melee weapons and thrown weapons, and a 4 with big guns. Pistols and rifles are going to be your best bet with this unit, and as always, weapons that grant green dice like the 357 Magnum and Trail Carbine are going to help ensure you hit what you aim at when it's time to throw some dice. As for objective running, the Courier has again just a decent base chance to score, hitting on 6s for all 3 hacking, searching, and lockpicking skills. But with access to move and charge quick actions, as well as luck on a base stat of 3, the Courier has a couple buffs which can help swing the odds in your favor when it comes to pushing up the field or tweaking the results of an objective or attack skill check. For more on what luck points can do, check out page 52 in the core rulebook. Now, while the Courier might only have 5 hit points, which is fairly low for a top tier unit, they are still pretty tanky with a base physical and energy armor of 4, as well as 1 natural radiation resistance. But it's special rules and perks that give the Courier a leg up on the battlefield and make them well worth their 98 caps before equipment. The sociable special rule grants the Courier an extra green die when making any stranger card test, which, while not the most useful trait, can come in handy when making Wasteland deck or Explorer card draws. Along with luck, the versatile ability can also help ensure success when making skill tests. Before making any skill check, the Courier can burn an action point to gain an extra green, yellow, or black die added to the roll. Now, action points don't grow on trees, but this ability has a ton of utility and can be used to increase chance to hit with weapons or when scoring objectives, and it can really also help deal extra damage or break armor against a particularly tough adversary. Now, the Courier also gains the Companion perk for free, which can add even more effect die to your skill checks. During game setup, this perk lets you select one model to be the Courier's chosen companion. If the Courier or the companion are activated while within presence, range, and line of sight of each other, the activated model gains either a black, yellow, or green special effect die token as long as that unit doesn't already have one of these. The unit can then spend that token to add the die to its roll when making a skill check. Now, there is a catch to this perk, as when the companion or the Courier are taken out during the battle, then the surviving unit gains a -2 to all of its skill tests for the rest of the game. So as much of a benefit as this perk can give you, it can also kneecap you a bit if you lose your companion or the Courier himself. Keep in mind that this perk can only be equipped by a unique model, but going by the rules as written, there's nothing stopping you from choosing a non-unique model as your chosen companion, but whatever unit equips this perk must be unique. While the Courier might be a survivor unit and has that keyword on its card, the Courier can also be included on both an NCR or a Caesar's Legion battle mode list. If you want to see how the Courier and the Companion perk handle in an actual game of Wasteland Warfare, then why don't you check out the link in the description down below or the video popping up here for episode 4 of my New Vegas Battle Report campaign. With the Courier and the Companion perk out of the way, let's go ahead and take a look at all of the unique survivor companions that you can take with you in your New Vegas expansion list. Raised in the Enclave before joining the Followers of the Apocalypse, Arcade Gannon is a utility unit with some healing-focused abilities. His combat stats aren't anything to brag about, hitting on 5s with pistols and 3s with melee weapons, and he can't use rifles, thrown weapons, or big guns. When it comes to objective skills, he excels at hacking with an intelligence of 8, and he's decent at search tests with a perception of 5. He lacks any lockpicking abilities, but he does have access to use expertise quick actions. It's special rules that make Arcade such a useful utility character and medic on the battlefield. The better healing aura ability lets Arcade and any unit in his green presence range remove 1 additional point of damage when using any limited use items that remove damage counters. This ups the effectiveness of inexpensive, low healing items like the Honey Mesquite Pod or Fresh Melon, and makes high value, high health items like Stimpaks, Yao Guai Meat, and Sunset Sarsaparilla even more effective. And his Field Medic special rule lets him remove 1 point of damage from any non-robot unit within yellow range once per activation. He is not the toughest unit around, with 6 hit points and 1 physical and energy resistance each, but keep in mind that he also benefits from his own special rules, meaning that you can use these rules to up his survivability odds in a pinch. While Arcade has the Survivor faction keyword on his card, he is also usable in an Enclave battle mode list, but doesn't benefit from the Enclave training special rule. For more on the Enclave and what they can do, check out my faction review popping up here. Boone is a gruff, former NCR 1st Recon sharpshooter with an axe to grind with the Legion. Boone has a somewhat low chance to hit with rifles considering he's a sniper by trade with a perception of just 6, but he does have the hunting rifle specialty, which jacks that chance to hit up to 8 when using that weapon. And because the hunting rifle grants 2 green accuracy dice at long range, Boone's odds to hit go up considerably. He can't use pistols or big guns, and his thrown weapons and melee skills are only so-so, hitting on 5s for both with a range of green when using thrown items. But taking out units at range is where Boone's strengths lie, and that's really where you're going to want him to focus, especially because of his Hold Breath special ability, which allows him to ignore 1 piece of cover when shooting at a target in long range. This means Boone doesn't suffer the -2 to hit for that piece of cover, and ignores the +1 strong armor that the cover gives to the target. Boone has access to rifle quick action attacks and also banks criticals, meaning he can unleash a 4 damage shot at long range only with the hunting rifle after scoring 3 hits. Objective-wise, he's more than decent at search tests, scoring on an intelligence of 7, and he can lockpick on an agility of 5 and hack on luck of 4. He's got a good mix of hit points and armor with 7 health, 2 physical and radiation resistance, and 1 energy armor. Boone ignores difficult terrain, which is never a bad feature, and because of his Hatred special rule, he suffers a -2 penalty for skill tests when not attacking a Caesar's Legion model if he is otherwise able to. He is a pricey one at 100 caps before equipment, but if you're looking for a long-range operative, Boone is going to be your guy. Now, while it pains me to say it, Cass is probably my least favorite unit in the New Vegas expansion, despite being one of my go-to companions in the video game. In my humble opinion, Cass is decidedly just okay, and about as mediocre across the board as any unit out there. Now, that's not to say she's bad at anything, but she's not especially good at anything either, which I guess is fine considering her middle-of-the-road cap cost of just 52 points before equipment. Now, she's not bad in combat, with 6 to hit with rifles, 5 with pistols, and 4 with melee weapons. She can't use big guns or thrown items, and she's okay in the toughness department with 5 hit points, 2 physical, and 2 energy armor. Things are pretty lackluster on the objective side of things, though she searches on a 6 with no hacking abilities and lockpicks on just a low luck of 2. While she does have 2 special rules, neither of them are really standouts in my opinion, despite being true to her in-game New Vegas source material. Her Whiskey Rose perk is fun, letting her ignore penalties if she gets addicted to alcohol, and her Shotgun Surgeon perk isn't awful, granting an additional yellow armor break die when making any attack with a rifle with shotgun in the title. But considering how short the range of damn near every shotgun in the game is, she ends up needing to get pretty up close and personal with enemies to have any real impact in a firefight. And because she's not all that tough, this isn't exactly an advisable tactic. If it were me, I'd give her some whiskey to increase her chance to hit and keep on that Whiskey Rose theme, as well as a combat shotgun, but with the long barrel mod to give her a fighting chance at actually doing any damage in a scrap. Moving away from the human companions, for just a moment, let's take a look at 2 of my favorites, Rex and Eddie. Eddie is a bit of a specialized unit, excelling in a few areas, but not much of an all-rounder. Eddie is better than average in ranged combat, hitting on a perception of 8. He gets the Eyebot Tesla cannon for free, which packs a bigger punch compared to the standard Eyebot laser. Now, the Tesla cannon only has a range of blue and no critical attack buffs, so don't bother giving Eddie any perks or mods which allow him to bank criticals like the combat analysis subroutine. Eddie also searches on that high perception of 8, so he's pretty handy with these types of skill tests, but he lacks any hacking or lockpicking abilities. For a robot with no arms, Eddie's not half bad in a fist fight either, hitting on an agility of 5. But considering he hits on 6s when making the close combat attack with the Tesla cannon, I'd go with that over the improvised weapon when up close and personal with Eddie, despite the added armor bonus that would grant your opponent. Eddie is a surprisingly tough little dude with 3 physical and 2 energy resistance, and he's immune to radiation and poison. He's a little bit low in the health department though, so again, always a good idea to keep him out of harm's way. Eddie can't climb, but he ignores difficult terrain, and he's immune to battle cry and also has access to quick action attacks. His observer ability lets units in his blue presence range use Eddie's line of sight and awareness when making a charge or when noticing triggers, and his enhanced sensor aura reduces the penalty of attacking or engaging a unit using a stealth boy from -4 to -2. Now this is useful against Nightkin and Coursers, so keep that in mind when going up against any big blue meanies or sneaky synths. And despite being a survivor unit, Eddie can also be included on an Enclave battle mode list just like Arcade Ganon. If you want to see how Eddie handles in a fight, then check out that link in the video description down below to episode 4 of the New Vegas Battle Report campaign. Now, Dogmeat isn't the only goodest boy on the Survivor roster, because in the New Vegas expansion, we get the Cyberdog Rex. Like other dogs in Wasteland Warfare, Rex is great at closing the gap on enemies with a move range of red and a charge distance of blue. Rex is slightly worse than Dogmeat when it comes to using the Dog Bite attack, hitting on a strength of 5 compared to Dogmeat's agility of 6. Rex searches on an intelligence of 4, but like other dogs, he lacks any other objective skills. Rex has 6 hit points, 2 physical armor, and 1 energy resistance, and he's immune to radiation because of his robotic components. Rex can't climb, but he does have access to move and charge quick actions. For special rules, his Rat's ability grants an extra green accuracy die when attacking any mole rat, which is only useful in very certain circumstances, but it is a fun little nod to his New Vegas in-game hatred of rodents. His knockdown ability is much more useful, letting him choose to replace 1 point of damage with a stun when making an attack, but this must be declared before making the attack roll. Rex also has the Show Me Aura ability, which increases the awareness range of any unit with the Dog Handler perk within Rex's very limited presence range of yellow. Veronica is one of the few melee-focused survivors in the New Vegas expansion. She hits in close combat with melee weapons on an agility of 6 and pistols with a perception of 4, but can't use big guns, rifles, or thrown weapons, unfortunately. Now that 6 to hit with melee weapons is good, but not great. So a weapon that grants green accuracy dice like the baton or the tire iron can help up your odds of success, and chems that boost agility like Comex or Rebound don't hurt either. Veronica is an effective objective runner, scoring on all 3 hacking, lockpicking, and searching skills with an intelligence of 6. She's also not the toughest survivor out there with just 5 hit points, but she's decently armored with 2 physical and 3 energy resistance. Veronica's Scribe Counter ability is a useful one, allowing her to make a quick action melee attack against any opponent that scores a hit on her in melee combat, as long as that attack deals no damage. As well as being a survivor, Veronica is a member of the Brotherhood of Steel and can be included on both Survivor and Brotherhood battle mode lists. She also benefits from both faction special rules because she has both keywords on her card. For more on the Brotherhood faction, check out this video popping up here. And you can see the Scribe Counter in action in episode 4 of my New Vegas Battle Report campaign, so don't forget to check out that link down below. Raul is a pre-war ghoul and handyman who's pretty handy with a 6-shooter as well. His range combat skills are pretty good, hitting on 7s with pistols and 5 with rifles, but he's not very good in a fist fight though, with a strength of just 3, and he has no big gun or thrown weapon skills. Raul does have access to pistol quick attack actions, and his old Vaquero special rule lets him unleash the Fury by adding both green and black bonus effect die to his next attack after a friendly model is removed from play. This ability can really up your damage and chance to hit in one shot, especially when using his signature 44 Magnum, which already grants a green, yellow, and black effect die. Objective-wise, he's only so-so, searching and lockpicking on an intelligence of 5 and hacking on a luck of just 1. But like Cass, he's in a Forla unit at 62 caps before equipment as of the filming of this video. Raul is also immune to battle cry and radiation because of his ghoulification, and he's a pretty tough customer with 7 hit points and both 2 physical and energy resistance. Now here is a unit that isn't technically part of any faction, and that's the Burned Man. Once the right-hand man of Caesar himself, Joshua Graham, aka the Burned Man, is a temporary companion of sorts that the Courier can get in the New Vegas Honest Hearts DLC. The Burned Man is a tough customer with 9 hit points, 3 physical and energy armor, and 1 radiation resistance. He's resistant to poison and immune to all chems except Stimpaks, so don't bother trying to up his stats with chems like Mentats, Psycho, or Jet. Graham is an okay shot with pistols, hitting on a perception of 5, but he gets much better when up close and personal, hitting on an agility of 7 with melee weapons. Now he can't use rifles or big guns, but he's better than average with thrown weapons, hitting on 7s with a range of blue. Objective-wise, he's not too bad, searching and hacking on 5s, but with no lockpicking abilities, there are much better options in this faction, like Veronica, for example. Graham gets his signature 45 caliber pistol, a light burning in the darkness, for free, despite the fact that it should be called a light shining in the darkness, like it actually is in the New Vegas video game, but I digress. He also has a pistol whip ability, which lets him add a staggering 2 black die to any melee attacks when using an improvised weapon. Since he gets that 45 for free, giving him the Gunslinger perk isn't a bad idea to up his odds of dealing extra damage. At 85 caps, including equipment, he's actually fairly affordable as far as units go, but because that chance to hit with pistols is fairly low, you might be tempted to add a mod like the Comfort Grip. But because it's a unique weapon, you actually can't add any mods to it. So this is why I'm a fan of giving him an alternate pistol to really increase that chance to hit. Pairing him up with the Courier and the Companion perk are also ways to help increase those odds by adding an extra green bonus die to his activations. Last up for the Mojave survivors are 2 super mutants who actually aren't survivors at all. Neither Marcus or Lily have the survivor keyword on their cards, meaning they don't benefit from the faction special rule. But since they can both be taken on a survivor's battle mode list, I thought it fitting to add them into this review. With the exception of the Burn Man, Marcus is the only entry on this list that isn't a possible companion in New Vegas, but he is a recruitable follower in Fallout 2. He's a reformed member of the Master's Army way back from Fallout 1 and makes a cameo in New Vegas in the mutant sanctuary of Jacobstown. Now, Marcus is an absolute tank with 10 hit points, 3 physical, and 2 energy armor, and like all super mutants, he's immune to radiation damage. He has a base strength of 9, so he packs a serious punch in close combat, making him the best melee bruiser in the entire faction, even though he doesn't benefit from the faction special rule. Marcus is also a big gun bruiser with that agility of 7, but he is a pricey unit at 113 caps before equipment, so that's something to consider before going wild with expensive big guns like the Heavy Incinerator or the Missile Launcher. He can't use pistols or rifles, but he makes for a decent grenadier considering he can hurl thrown weapons at a range of black, hitting on a perception of 5. Marcus has a charge range of green, so he can move up the field and tie up enemies better than most mutants or survivors, and his intelligence of 7 means he's better than average at search tests. He gets his Marcus Punch attack for free, which grants a yellow armor break die and a blue special effect die, which has a 1 in 3 chance to stun when rolling a star, and a 1 in 6 chance to deal extra damage by rolling a mushroom cloud. And because he has a strength of 7 or higher, he gets an extra black die to any melee attack, giving him an extra 50-50 chance of dealing additional damage. And Marcus can gain even more dice because of his Concern special rule, which gives him a 1 yellow die bonus marker when any friendly unit within his presence range of blue takes damage from an attack. He's immune to Battle Cry, but keep in mind that this gentle giant can't make any attacks until after the opposing force makes at least 1 attack due to his Last Resort special rule. And finally, we have Lily Bowen, a Nightkin with multiple personalities. Like all Nightkin, Lily starts every battle with an active Stealth Boy, which lasts for the first 2 rounds of the game because of the Prowl special rule. This makes her much harder to detect, but the effect does wear off after she makes an attack or at the end of round 2. Nightkin also have the Unpredictable special rule, which can cause Lily to go a bit berserk. Whenever activating a Nightkin, roll a blue special effect die. If you roll a star, that model gets a +2 to its strength, a +1 bonus to both physical and energy armor, and an extra quick action point, while gaining access to both move and charge quick actions as well as quick action attacks. Now, Nightkin actually have a 1 in 12 chance of actually stunning themselves when going unpredictable, and this will happen if you roll the bottle cap and star combo symbol. When in their unpredictable state, Nightkin can't prepare and they must make an attack action or engage with an opposing model if they are able to during their activation. Now, as if the Unpredictable special rule wasn't enough to wrap your head around, Lily has the Leo special rule, which allows her to either increase or decrease her chance of going wild. Before making an unpredictable roll for Lily, you can choose whether she becomes unpredictable by rolling either a bottle or mushroom cloud. If you choose the bottle, that means she has a better than 50-50 chance to go wild, and a mushroom cloud reduces it even more to a 1 in 6 chance. Even without the unpredictable rule in play, Lily has some impressive combat stats. She hits on a strength of 7 with both melee weapons and big guns, and 5s with rifles. She can't use pistols, but she has a good chance to hit with thrown weapons thanks to her agility of 6 and range of blue. Lily is a tough one with 8 hit points as well as 2 physical and energy armor, and just like Marcus, she's immune to radiation and battle cry with a charge range of green. For equipment, her AI card lists a vertibird blade and an assault carbine. And while none of these are included in her caps cost, she does get a free silenced mod when you choose to take the assault carbine. It might only deal 1 base damage, but the carbine grants a black and yellow die at both long and short range. All this gear can make Lily a pricey choice at just under 150 caps, but if you're looking for a berserker super mutant to add to your survivor force, Lily makes a pretty unstoppable invisible infiltrator. There you have it, Wastelanders, the new Vegas survivors in all their glory. Hopefully this video will help you in building your survivor list, so let me know in the comments down below some of the crazy combinations of units that you come up with. In our next Better Know a Faction video, we're going to take an updated look at the Super Mutant faction, which in my humble opinion is one of the more underrated factions in the entire game. If you enjoyed this video, then hit the like button and consider heading on over to our WGNR Patreon page where you can become a Chosen One level member. This grants you double entry into future WGNR giveaways, exclusive voting rights to online polls that help choose the future direction of content here on the channel, and you can also become a named character in a future WGNR video or battle report, not unlike this one. If donations aren't your thing, then you can still become part of the WGNR community by heading on over to our Discord server. There you can link up with like-minded gamers to talk tactics, miniature painting, terrain building, 3D printing, and much, much more. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, stay tuned because WGNR will be back.